It starts quietly. No one sees it happen. You give, you wait, you trust. You play fair, because somewhere inside, you still believe fairness means safety. You tell the truth. You stay kind. You keep your promises. But the world doesn't clap for that anymore. It calculates. There's a moment when you notice it. Maybe small, maybe nothing at all. Someone cuts the line and still gets rewarded. Someone lies and still gets loved. Someone bends the rules, and the world calls it strategy. You look around, and suddenly, you feel like a stranger at your own table, wondering when honesty started sounding like weakness. You try harder. You make yourself clearer. You explain, reason, apologize, even when you shouldn't have to. And still, you lose ground. You start to see that the world isn't built like you thought it was. It's not a story where truth automatically wins. It's a game where rules shift depending on who's playing. Inside, something starts to ache. Not the kind of pain people notice, the quiet kind. The one that hides beneath polite smiles and steady tones. It's the pain of realizing that goodness doesn't guarantee fairness, that your effort, your loyalty, your clean hands, they don't always translate into victory. You tell yourself to stay kind anyway, but somewhere deep down, you start asking, what's the point of playing fair in a game that rewards deception? You watch people win not because they're better, but because they're willing to be less. And every time they do, a piece of your innocence burns out like a dying candle. Still, you sit at the board. Still, you move your pieces with care, because walking away would mean admitting the world was never fair to begin with. And that's a truth most people can't bear to face. Maybe fairness was never meant to make you win. Maybe it was meant to reveal who you are when you lose. Maybe the world was never built to reward fairness. Maybe it was built to test it. You wake up early. You show up on time. You stay longer than you should, polishing details no one will ever notice. You think someone will, maybe your boss, your friend, your partner, but they rarely do. They take your reliability as silence, your patience as permission, your goodness as infinite supply. And every time they do, you tell yourself, it's fine, I'm not doing this for recognition. But deep down, a quieter voice whispers, then why does it hurt this much to be unseen? You forgive quickly. You explain yourself carefully. You give people the benefit of the doubt, long after doubt has turned to proof. Because you were raised to believe fairness was virtue. That playing fair meant life would eventually play fair with you. But the world doesn't keep such promises. It keeps score by other rules. Louder ones, harsher ones, written by those who learned early that charm beats honesty and confidence outruns competence. You've seen it. The coworker who cuts corners but gets praised for efficiency. The friend who lies but calls it boundaries. The lover who demands understanding but offers none in return. You watch them win and feel something in your chest tighten. You can't call it envy. It's more like grief. Grief for the version of you that still believes kindness protects you. There's a name for this feeling. Psychologists sometimes call it injustice fatigue. The slow erosion of your spirit after too many quiet losses. It's not the pain of one betrayal, but the exhaustion of 1,000 small ones. Like playing a chess game where every piece you move with integrity only opens another weakness to exploit. Like standing before a set of scales that always tip the same way. No matter how gently you place your truth on the lighter side. And yet, you keep showing up. Because part of you still hopes fairness will notice your effort, that the world will one day balance itself, but it doesn't. The rules were never meant to protect you. They were meant to keep you predictable, easy to manage, easy to overlook. You follow them anyway, because that's what good people do. You obey the invisible code. Stay polite, stay honest, stay small. And every time you lose, a new doubt forms. Not about others, but about the world itself. You start to wonder if the problem isn't your kindness, but the stage you're standing on. The truth is, the world does praise fairness. In speeches, in books, in stories told to children. But when the applause fades, it rewards the cunning. It always has. And maybe that's the hardest realization of all. You were raised to believe the world was fair, but you grew up and realized it wasn't. There's a reason you keep playing fair, even when it costs you. It's not stupidity or weakness or lack of awareness. It's conditioning, the kind that began long before you ever knew what fairness meant. When you were young, love wasn't just a feeling, it was survival, and survival had rules. You learned that being good earned warmth, that being quiet avoided conflict, that pleasing others kept you safe. Every thank you, every smile of approval became proof that you existed correctly. Disapproval felt like disappearance. So, you built a self around being agreeable, a version of you that never risked the pain of rejection. Psychologists call this moral conditioning, the invisible deal between fear and virtue. You believed goodness would protect you, that honesty, kindness, and fairness would keep chaos away. You didn't know that in the adult world, chaos wears a suit and calls itself opportunity. So now when people lie and still succeed, you don't just feel angry, you feel unsafe. Because if the rules don't protect you anymore, then what does? Your mind can't accept that the same obedience that once guaranteed love now guarantees exhaustion. It keeps trying to buy peace with goodness, as if virtue were still currency. And it works, for a while. Until you notice that every time you play fair in a world that isn't, something inside you feels smaller. You smile while swallowing resentment. You explain yourself to those who never listen. You give second chances to people who turned your first into a weapon. You keep choosing decency, hoping it will eventually become armor. But it never does. It just makes you tired. This is learned moral perfectionism. Your nervous system stuck in a loop of appeasement. The part of you that believes if you're endlessly fair, endlessly patient, endlessly forgiving, you'll finally be safe. But fairness without boundaries isn't virtue. It's self-erasure dressed as peace. You're not weak because you played fair. You're exhausted because you kept playing fair in a game that never was. You grow up believing that being good will protect you. But adulthood turns that promise into a quiet contradiction. The more good you are, the more invisible you seem to become. You start over-apologizing even when you're right. You feel guilty for setting the smallest boundary, as if protecting your peace makes you cruel. You stay loyal to people who only remember you when they need forgiveness. And somewhere along the way, you start confusing comfort with connection, mistaking peace for the absence of conflict, not the presence of respect. This is how it begins. You make yourself smaller in relationships, softer in arguments, safer in ambition. You tell yourself it's compassion, but sometimes it's fear. Fear of being called selfish, fear of becoming like those who once hurt you, fear of losing the approval that kept you alive when you were young. So, you dim your fire in the name of balance. You silence your instinct in the name of empathy. You choose the safe path and call it wisdom, even when it's really avoidance. You don't mean to do it consciously. The pattern is deeper than thought. It's wired into your nervous system. Your mind still believes that harmony equals survival. So, when someone crosses a line, your first reaction isn't anger, it's anxiety. You replay every interaction, searching for your fault in their betrayal. You shrink from confrontation because deep down, conflict still feels like danger. The result? You end up surrounded by people who take what you give and call it love. Fairness becomes your currency. You keep offering it, thinking one day someone will finally give it back. But the truth is, takers rarely trade in fairness. They trade in guilt. They sense your desire to do the right thing and use it as leverage. And before you know it, your empathy becomes their power. You start noticing patterns in friendships, workplaces, love. You're the one people rely on but never defend. The one they confide in but never choose. You're the peacemaker in wars you didn't start. The healer for wounds you didn't cause. You call it maturity, but sometimes it's just exhaustion, disguised as grace. And yet, a part of you still resists bitterness. You still want to believe that decency has a place in a ruthless world, that staying soft doesn't mean staying powerless. And maybe it's true, but only once you see the pattern for what it is. Because the moment you recognize it, something shifts. The illusion cracks. You stop calling your exhaustion patience. You stop confusing self-sacrifice with strength. You stop expecting fairness from people who survive on imbalance. And when you finally see how the world really works, it doesn't make you bitter, it makes you awake. The pain isn't that the world is unfair. The pain is that you believed it was supposed to be fair. That somewhere, written in the invisible laws of life, fairness was promised. That if you did things right, things would go right. But the truth is quieter and harder. The world was never built on justice. It was built on nature. And nature only knows balance, not mercy. You learned to see life as a mirror. You thought your kindness would be reflected back, your honesty returned, your patience rewarded. But mirrors don't show truth. They show perception. And most people live behind fog glass. They don't see your fairness, they see your availability. They don't see your integrity, they see opportunity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You cannot expect a fig tree to bear olives." People act from the level of consciousness they possess. You can't expect truth from those still addicted to deception. You can't expect balance from those who survive on chaos. They're not villains. They're just unconscious, lost in the same illusion you're trying to wake up from. The hurt, then, is not betrayal by others. It's the collapse of an idea, the childlike belief that the world will match your morality. That belief dies slowly, like a light fading behind glass. You resist it, because part of you still wants to believe good people win. But awakening means accepting that goodness and victory are not the same thing. You didn't lose because you were weak. You lost because you tried to play truth in a game built on illusion. You played with open hands while others hid their cards. You stayed in the storm, hoping honesty could calm the wind. But life doesn't bend for the honest. It reveals them. And that revelation hurts. It burns away the naivety that once kept you warm. But in that burning, something cleaner emerges. Not bitterness, but clarity. The kind that doesn't fight the storm anymore, but learns to walk through it without losing its center. And the moment you see it, you stop blaming yourself and start understanding the game. Healing doesn't begin when you stop being good. It begins when you stop believing that goodness must cost you everything. You don't have to become cruel to survive. You just have to stop confusing goodness with weakness. Stop mistaking silence for peace and endurance for strength. This is the part of the journey no one teaches. The quiet rebuilding of self-respect after years of self-erasure. The realization that fairness means nothing if it always excludes you. That compassion is incomplete if it doesn't include your own heart. You start to see that protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's sacred. Observe who drains your fairness. The ones who always ask for understanding but never offer it. The ones who call your boundaries distance, your honesty, rudeness, your independence, coldness. Notice how often you apologize for simply existing as you are. The moment you start noticing, you start remembering. Your kindness was never meant to be currency. There's a difference between peace and people-pleasing. Peace is rooted in truth. People-pleasing is born from fear. Peace says, I respect both of us. People-pleasing whispers, just don't leave. Every time you betray your voice to keep harmony, you teach your nervous system that safety requires self-abandonment. But every time you hold your truth, even softly, you teach the world a new rule. You're not betraying your goodness, you're upgrading it. You're learning that empathy can have edges, that love can be firm, that fairness can have conditions. Real strength isn't loud or merciless. It's controlled honesty. It's saying no without guilt. It's walking away without resentment. It's choosing integrity over approval, even when your hands still shake. There's a term some therapists use, strategic empathy. It means giving without disappearing, seeing people's wounds without letting them cut you, loving the world while still knowing its shadows. It's the art of balance, heart open, boundaries intact. Maybe the goal was never to make the world fair. Maybe it's to walk through its unfairness without losing your clarity. Because clarity, not perfection, is what frees you. And one day, you'll feel it. Not a grand victory, not applause, but calm. You'll step away from the noise, the endless proving, the invisible wars. The air will feel lighter, the light softer. You'll realize you didn't need the world to change for you to be free. You just needed to stop playing a game that was never yours to win. There comes a moment when you stop needing the world to make sense. When you stop demanding fairness from people who were never playing the same game. When you finally understand, the goal was never to win. It was to see. You've spent years believing fairness would keep you safe. That if you were good enough, kind enough, patient enough, life would reward you with peace. But now you see, peace isn't a prize, it's a practice. And awareness is the only real safety there is. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Maybe this is what he meant, the quiet liberation that begins when you stop performing goodness and start embodying truth. When you no longer measure your worth by how well you are received, but by how fully you are awake. You realize you're not here to beat the game. You're here to understand it and choose how to play, to see the illusion without becoming part of it, to hold your kindness without letting it be used against you, to give, but no longer to those who demand it, only to those who recognize it. The world is still unfair. People still bend rules, still take shortcuts, still mistake silence for weakness. But none of it touches you the same way anymore, because once you see the pattern, you stop dancing to it. Once you wake up, you can never go back to sleep. You can't control how others play. You can only choose to stay awake. And in a world built on illusion, that's the only real win. And maybe that's what wholeness truly is. Not perfection, not purity, but peace in the knowing. A calm acceptance that the world doesn't owe you fairness. And yet, you remain fair. Not because it's rewarded, but because it's who you are.